about roadside memorials. It's like there's a lot of people that die out there on the side of the highway, and they're just gone. And when I'm on the highway, I kind of think about that, like anybody can perish. You can be on the highway one time and not come home. So these memorials that we have on the side of the road, they oftentimes go unserviced and become just trash. It'd be interesting to archive more of that, like as a non-profit or something, and just go out and fly a drone around and capture and tell stories as best we can with the information we have, and do some open source intelligence on the features. That was a fucking helicopter. That was a drone. Wow. That was cool. Anyway. Well, roadside memorials. I see them all over the place. Sometimes they're bicycles. I remember there's a non-profit about the bicycles. Ghost Bikes. I don't know what the non-profit's called, but they have like a log of where a whole lot of these bicycles exist, the white ones on the side of the road. And if you're unaware, that indicates that a cyclist perished either at that spot or near, like in the intersection or something. They're all over the West Coast, and they're well documented over there. I see them out here, but I don't think they're documented quite as well. I mean, in one sense, it's like these folks already have grave sites. Why do we have to clutter the side of the highway with more grave sites? On the other hand, this is our culture, and we shouldn't let the highway department dictate to us how these pieces of infrastructure are to be used. If we want to memorialize the lost, I think we should be able to do that, since we fundamentally are the reason these roads exist in the first place. We should probably have the right to memorialize our dead on the side of them. I don't personally have anybody who's perished and occupies a roadside memorial, but like I said earlier, any of us could perish at any time, so it's important that we consider ways that we can memorialize that. Some roadside memorials. I have a friend who was telling me, he said that he wants to do artwork for these memorials, like put something in that's slightly more permanent. And I could agree to some extent, but I also understand a couple of different angles from the highway department. Like, what if they want to expand the road and somebody put in a semi-permanent structure on the side of the road, you know, in the gray area between what is considered egress and private. Lake Havasu City, if you haven't been here before. Hi. Looks like somebody says hi. Oh no. Oh no, hi. Hi, oh no. Jessica Taylor. Jessica Taylor. Jessica Taylor says hi. That was a pretty cool bicycle. Anyway, yes, hi, indeed. So, Lake Havasu City is this place in the U.S. where we, like, apparently we go out and get things from other countries. It's kind of weird. I don't know why we do this, but I think they do it in the UK too. Like, I've heard that half of Egyptians' monuments are in the UK museums, so that's kind of funny. But also, like, why do we have London Bridge here? Was it really economical? Somebody was like, I know the story, right? He's like, yeah, we're going to charge people a fee to come out and use this bridge to get to the island, and the wealthy will live on this island, and they'll pay a fee on this bridge, and they'll gladly do it because they'll have exclusivity. And that's cool. It didn't work out very well, but, like, we could have went and got a different bridge. Why do we have to go ship this thing from London? And then, like, how do you actually get it here? I know it's on a river, but, like, it's not really convenient trying to navigate. It's not a navigable waterway in the traditional sense, like, we ain't got a Coast Guard, I don't think. It's like, why in the world do we have London Bridge? And then London's got more than one bridge, right? Like, maybe they had, like, the bridge they called the London Bridge or something, I guess. I don't know. Things that are confusing about LHC, which is funny. Like, Large Hadron Collider, no, it's Lake Havasu City. And then we got Bullhead City, BHC, and LHC. And then that's kind of funny. Like, if you live in Mohave, you know these things. If you don't, you're new to it, and this stuff is interesting, maybe. I don't know. Maybe not. Lots of old folks travel here. I don't know if you've ever been to LHC, but I do some work out here, and I can tell you, the money doesn't come from here. It comes from somewhere else, and it ends up here. So if you're trying to find work out here, it can be a little bit of a chore, unless you're working for somebody who has money already. Oh, look, an airplane. I don't know if you can see it, but that guy's flying super low. What are you doing so low? Get the hell off the ground. Anyway, there's a couple of airports along the river here, which is also a pretty big pain when you're trying to fly drones for somebody. That airplane, hey, get off the ground. Don't you know elevation is insurance? Airspeed is life. If you don't have life and life insurance, boy, what are you doing so low to the ground? Anyway, I hope he makes it home safe. I don't recommend flying like that. Is he trying to land on the water? I don't know enough about what's going on over there, but it seems to me like he's not in the air anymore, and the airport is the other direction. So let's hope he made it. I don't know if that was a glider. I don't think it was a glider. I don't see that airplane. I sure hope he's okay. Well, I'll see on the NTSB reports in the morning. If it is, I don't see anything in the water over there. The other day there was a helicopter parked in a parking lot. That's not something you see every day, but I guess it's not that untraditional. You gotta park them somewhere, right? Put too much thought into it. I thought they stayed at the airport, but I guess you gotta go someplace that ain't an airport. You gotta figure out where to park, don't you? Well, I certainly hope that airplane landed on something soft, wherever he went. mean, I guess there's one good thing. If there was a ball of fire, it'd be pretty evident. And usually those things, they don't do too well when they hit the ground. So it's probably fine. He's probably fine. Aviation fuel is like refined kerosene or something. I don't know. Big black clouds. There it is. I mean, that's not it, but it's like to the left over there is the bridge. Anybody know if Honda's making electric rum yet? That'd be kind of cool. Who is this? Rosa Chili's? What? Rosa Chili's. How are you? How are you doing today? How are you doing today? How am I doing today? I'm working, which is great. I have a job, which is, decent. It's better than not having a job, I suppose. How am I doing today? Oh, my back stopped hurting yesterday because in my sleep, I half woke up, had my knees bent, and I turned them from the left to the right while keeping my back flat on the bed, and my back popped, and it felt wonderful, and I still feel good after that. I haven't had the chronic back pain that I'm usually akin to. It's gonna suck when it comes back. I know it will. How am I doing today? What a loaded question. It's there's no right answer, no wrong answer. It's just a question. Don't overanalyze it. How am I doing today? What am I supposed to say? Something like that. Oh yeah, I'm fantastic. Best day of my life. I'm gonna remember this. I wrote it down on my I put it in my diary. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm at Disneyland right now. Not really. Oh, look at this. Coming up on the left here. What is this? Deuce Coupe? Deuce Coupe? Got 32 Coupe? That's right. Look at that bucket. Bucket. Oh. What do they call that? Fenderless. Chopped. Probably 30 grand. Here it goes. But. Anyway. Electric bicycle. I think that's a better investment. Yeah, it's probably a quicker avenue to the grave, as they say, but here's the deal. If I drive to a place and I'm using my company van, I can't really do anything that I want to do unless I want, the GPS to track the things that I'm doing, which isn't bad, but here's the problem. It's an exploitation dilemma. It's not that I'm exploiting anybody in particular. However, if I'm using company resources to do my own thing, it's not necessarily not exploitive. So how do you manage that? Look at that exhaust system. That's kind of trick. Why do they center it like that? That's weird. Oh, a bunch of water fell out. So if I had an EV bike in the back or on a rack in the back, or even in the front, I don't really care. Stick it anywhere. You can put it anywhere. I get to where I'm going, do the work that I signed up to do, and then go for a little ride. And then, once a month, I gotta take a picture of my van, make sure it's all good, and just remove whatever apparatus that I'm using to haul it, or take it out the back if that's what it is. I mean, I kind of understand. It's like, bro, you gotta go out and get your parts out the back of your van. Well, I do, but is sticking a motorcycle in there really gonna be all that of a problem? And then, how about unloading it and reloading it? Is this gonna be time effective? And I don't know. Maybe it's a bad idea. Maybe it's a good idea. I just probably will never do it. Or it's just a way for me to justify spending another expensive amount of money on something I don't need, which I'm okay with. I think that it would be useful. Let's say I relocate up to Vegas. It's really nice having a set of wheels up in Vegas that ain't my normal traditional wheels. But also, Vegas is one of the scariest places I've ever driven in my life. And trust me, I've driven a lot of places. So, what is a boy to do? If I was living down in Tempe with all the college students, I'm still generally at risk. So, I don't know. That car there's got a nice little bike rack. Sticking an EV bike on that would probably be asking to get it stolen, huh? And how often would I actually be using it? Maybe once a week? I don't know. But they got me driving all over the place. So once I get to a place I could ride around if I wanted. That would be kind of nice. Put more thought into it. It's a half-baked idea. Maybe I'm just jealous of all the other boys who have really nice electric bicycles. Or perhaps it was being at Burning Man, still pedaling my ass off and thinking, man, wouldn't it be great had I thought ahead? Well, I did think ahead when I was running camp and everything, but it wouldn't have been great if I chose to spend some money on an electric bike instead of whatever else it is that I got. What is it? Fucking $5,000 worth of shade material, a dump truck, I hauled a car out there, half of it technically, because it was my car. Man, I spent so much energy on that. Whatever. These days it'll pay off. I'll be better at it. The first one is crunchy, and trust me, that was my second one. It was still crunchy. What I got to do is get to a better spot in my life where I can do the kinds of things that I want to be able to do. So I know that I have the capacity to. I got the tools. I got the energy. I got the tools. What I don't have is the time. I got a little bit of know-how, but what I don't have is the executive function. I get home and I just sit on my butt instead of going out and getting the work done. Or like an entire weekend will go by and I'll rest, which is much needed. But what I could have been doing is working, and I'll choose to not work. So it's not necessarily like laziness, but it's definitely not the opposite. You know, it's not far off from laziness. So in some ways, like, I've worked ahead on a lot of this stuff. Like, I got some pickup trucks out in the desert, I got some cars, and they're just sitting there ready and happy and motivated to be at the next project. And I didn't need them when I got them, but it's like, one of these days I will. But I keep being employed, which is kind of a pain, because I would like to go out and figure out projects that I have out in the desert, but instead I'm spending all my time making money for, I guess, myself, you know, and the company and whatever. But like, man, wouldn't it be great if I could like do both things? Do like get a bunch of projects out the door, but also be able to make the bills get paid? That's hard to do. How do you do that? Who does that? I gotta find more people in my life that are capable of doing that. So that way I can analyze it and figure out what it is that makes them tick. How does this actually work? I try to subscribe to some of them podcasts. Some of them are better than others. Like, some of them are kind of a drag. Mr. Eli, the computer man. That motherfucker needs to pull whatever stick is up his ass out of it. And I know he's got a big smile when he's talking shit about the world that he lives in, but what we need to analyze here is, Mr. Eli, are you really motivating the folks in your life? I don't know that you are. Maybe it's possible that you're trying really hard to, but you're so far in that burning dumpster mode that you can't see the plumage of the smoke. And sometimes you see pretty shapes in that smoke plumage, and it makes you enjoy life a little bit. And all you're seeing is the shapes of the flames, which are not so happy, Mr. Eli. Well, I'll tell you this. His outlook on the whole AI industry, it's probably pretty spot on. And I'm glad that the bubble is kind of popping a little bit. What was it? I'm kind of making this number up, but I think it's in the neighborhood of 40 or 50 or 55,000 people between a couple of really big companies. I think Amazon might be one of them. I forgot who exactly. Microsoft let off some AI folks. I think Microsoft was one of the big ones, but it's Microsoft. They always have big layoffs. Who fucking cares at this point? So AI bubble being popped, you know, that's not really affecting all ends of the IT world. You'd think it would, but I feel like we made a home for those who wanted to be technical, and they were technical, and it was good. And now that home has gone away, and those people are still technical. They're going to reintroduce themselves to the market. They're going to be all kinds of different stuff, like cell phone fix-it people, or they might be running server-side admin stuff, or maybe call center work. I don't know. But it's probably not going to affect everybody. Definitely going to affect the ones that got fired. Some other people I subscribe to is a little less negative, but still on the same page. Mr. Louis Rosman. What the hell is with that guy? He's down there in Texas. Like, I thought you're a New Yorker. What's with this change of pace? You know, you move to a place where guns are pretty prevalent in New York. Well, they got a lot of regulations keeping you from even getting a permit to have one. That's crazy. Crazy. Now you're living in Texas. some things that are really interesting is the work that he's done in the city already, showing up to board meetings and putting a foot in the city council's ass about entertaining the idea of having Flock move their hardware into the city. They're talking about $2 million for some software and hardware and being able to monitor people in parks and stuff. And it's all coming from some complaints about broken glass and whatnot. But like, that's a slippery slope. Do you imagine you've submitted a complaint to the city? You said, "Hey city, I don't like the broken glass in my park." And they're like, "Okay, we got you. We got you on this. What we're going to do is we're going to hire a third-party surveillance company that's going to know everything about when you left and when you got home and everywhere you went in between. It's going to know your face and your license plate. And anytime you blow your nose, this system is going to know about it. It's going to be testing you for fucking COVID each time you sneeze." And that's the world that they want us to live in because Grandma and Grandpa complained about some broken glass at the park. Now, I don't know. I think that's a little drastic. Like, let's go ahead and sacrifice all of our rights so that way we can have clean streets. It seems like anytime we ask for something, the answer is, "Oh, we'll give it to you in exchange for you giving up your rights." You don't like that? Well, I guess you can't have the clean parks then, can you? In fact, we'll make it worse. We'll approve a subdivision to be installed right next door. Low income, Section 8. And if you didn't like broken glass, you're really not going to like the homeless folks that are going to move in. Well, maybe it's just my jaded perspective on life, but having been raised in Portland, that's the way it is. Can't ask for anything. Anything you ask for at all, it's going to result in Kate Brown burning the entire state to the ground. Okay, that's a little drastic, but still, yeah. that's my comedy skit. That's not funny at all, actually. Why would I even say all that? Louis Rosman. All right. So the whole paperclip, Clippy. So what's with the Clippy thing? So I've seen a lot of people online following Lewis's little Clippy thing. And I'm not a guy that follows things. So like, I went and made a bunch of Clippy art so that way I could join the fun. But right before changing my icon, I thought to myself, you know, what kind of list am I putting myself on? What kind of things does Lewis stand for that I may not stand for? If I put this Clippy on my profile, you know, companies are going to see me and think a particular thing. And I don't know that I want that. I mean, in some ways I do, but in some ways that could limit my opportunities. Like, I hate to put it out there, but like, Ukraine and the supporting of Ukraine and all the icons that popped up on all the social medias, I'm not just talking LinkedIn or Zuckerberg. What I'm talking about is how many people showed their support for Ukraine and no longer are showing their support for Ukraine. They had the blue and the yellow, but, well, time went by, and, well, it's just not that big of a crisis anymore, and, well, they've already lost, like, a huge portion of their population, and you know, they're already attacking the stupid nuclear facility that Chernobyl, like, you know, they've already lost the stupid airplane, their Antonov. Else, like, I know there's still more. There's a major waterway that could be contaminated. There's some shipping features that might get unfeatured pretty quickly here. I actually think it already happened. So nobody's really wearing the blue and the yellow. I mean, some people are, and I commend them. That's great. But I see Clippy as the same kind of thing. It's like wear Clippy on my profile for a little while on maybe 1 or 2 accounts. I'll forget all the other accounts that won't be necessary. It's only YouTube where the Clippy thing is happening, and then YouTube will, I don't know, ban all the people that have Clippy accounts, I guess. I don't know. Like, maybe I'm blowing it out of proportion again. But the thing is that's why I've never really been one to follow these trends. Mr. Lewis and his paperclip. I absolutely stand for all the things he talks about. Right to repair is the most important thing. John Deere tractor can get themselves fixed and become more American. That would be amazing. We have America's tractor back instead of the stuff that's coming from Dowdang Industries, which is better by like tenfold. So, it's important for us to analyze these things. Mr. Lewis. Not everybody does. It's not popular to do so. Mr. Lewis. I know he's talking about, well, I got several businesses, so if you get sued, I'll help you out. I got your back. I'll cover your legal fees. That's what he was saying. He's like, if you do this thing and you get fired or sued or whatever, I'll cover your fees. Lewis, that's a bold announcement. But also, like, man, I wish I could do stuff like that. That's pretty cool. Like, also, if, like, I know he is so passionate about all the things that he stands behind that it's easy for him to say, yeah, like, I'll just hire a lawyer to help you because I told you to do this. And then he gets like 300 or 400 people to do a thing, and it's pretty amazing. The whole City of Austin flock case was ridiculous. I can't even imagine. Like, him showing up. It's like they took it off of the menu like 2 weeks in a row or something like that, and just completely acted like it's not even the thing. Tried to scoop it under the rug. $2 million going to flock, if I remember correctly. It's like, and he's like, no, I want to talk about this. It's a city council meeting. And they're like, yeah, sure. And then took it off the damn meeting. So he shows up anyway with 300 people. And like, they don't get to talk about their thing. So the next time, he has everybody sign up for different topics that have nothing to do with flock. But his assignment was, when you get up there, talk about flock instead. Talk about this violation of our rights. I don't know much about that other topic there, but what I actually came here to talk about is this topic, and then cover it. And then when you're asked to leave, smile on your face. Everybody did that, and that's the most powerful thing I've seen with my own eyes, as I'm still talking about it right now. It's like, wow, Mr. Rosman, you did that. Like, you don't even fucking live, like, I guess you live in Texas, but you didn't live in Texas long enough for you to give a rat's ass about Texas rights. This is America thing, and you're all over it. Man, we need more people like that. I want to be like that, but also it's like, what kind of people am I subscribing to? How are they affecting the way that I think? Because I need to be a better thinker and a better person, and some of these guys are kind of toxic. Like, let's talk about toxic YouTubers, starting from the top. Toxic YouTubers. Let's talk about, that one guy. Fucking whistling diesel. Toxic. Hey, yeah. I've got content cannons lined up. Like, I've got a machine that makes content cannons. And we're just going to fire them off one at a time, all in a row. And that's amazing. But it's toxic because it's not particularly useful stuff. It's toxic because it skews the way young people think about stuff in a not so positive way. Destroying a pickup truck is one thing. The way that he produces the content doesn't explain to kids any part of why it's okay for somebody to do a thing like that. I get it. It's content candy. It's supposed to be shock and awe. He's in the UK. He's got a time machine car, one of them DeLoreans or whatever. Fuck, if I can't remember his name. Well, anyway, I think his content is kind of toxic, and here's why. Yeah, it fits all ages. Yeah, it's like it's interesting to watch when you're bored, I suppose, right? But like, nobody is doing what he's trying to do there. Nobody is like. I guess that's what makes it interesting. But like, it's not relatable, and I think people who try to relate to that are going to grow up with an expectation that this is something that you can do, when the only reason he's able to get away with that is the circumstance. He put a lot of money towards being able to do that where he is. I get it. Around the U.S., it's real easy to get away with stuff like that. You get away with that all day long. You build a basement anytime you want. Not really. There's some parameters, but cladding it with steel, crazy. There's a lot of moisture in the basement. That's not a long haul type solution. It's like the problems with bunkers. There's a YouTube channel that came out with a video called the problem with bunkers, and they go into detail about it. It's a really bad idea. Just all in all, bunkers are not a great idea. So there's his content, and I think it's kind of toxic. So yeah, I don't know. My shit's not any better, really. Like, who the fuck really wants a DeLorean? I think that's something that you would dream about if you're a child. But it's like having a Model T, probably more rare, more expensive, less useful slightly, but like, you don't see people lining up around the block. Is that a culture thing? It's the 80s. Oh yeah, we're 80s kids. Yeah, I think he's younger than that. I think he was born in the 90s. What the fuck is his name? Other toxic YouTubers. I don't know. Maybe you guys have a couple of examples. I know one. Joe Rogan. Hella toxic. I don't like anything. I don't like his voice. I think anything that he actually says drives people away from his content. It's like, oh, Rogan's talking again. Oh, Rogan's talking again. Oh, Rogan is talking again. Can somebody do something about this guy who's talking again? How do we get this guy to not talk again? Other toxic YouTubers. This one I think should be at the top of the list. I can't believe I didn't think of it sooner. Neil deGrasse Tyson. I can't believe how toxic a person can be. Oh my god. Hey, look at me, I'm a physicist. I know things about physics and stuff. What's physics? Well, you know, things that are physical and whatnot. Which means that I can talk about anything. It's like, okay, but like, if you're an expert about physics, that doesn't mean that you should be talking about anything. Yeah, but it's science, not teaching. Yeah, but like, nobody asked you to teach. Like, I hope you understand that, Mr. Tyson. Like, nobody likes your voice, or your face, or any part of what you're talking about. Most of it is extremely oversimplified, and quite frankly, makes teaching actual subjects more difficult, because people are confused about the garbage they learned from Neil Tyson. And I have good examples. I have some examples about how he talks about space. And it's like, okay, could you imagine fucking lost, bro. Like, pull out a calculator, you get the point. And take one astronomy class that has to do with numbers, you'll get the point. I don't think we want to go to a gymnasium to watch Mr. Tyson talk about human hair. In fact, I think anybody who actually goes to those kinds of things are probably paid. People are paid to go. Like, that guy, I don't get it. I think there's other people like this too. Like, I guess when I was a kid, this was more popular in school, where they invite somebody who performs certain science magic tricks or whatever. And, like, I remember seeing some of that. I went to OMSI in Oregon as a kid, and they talked about some stuff like that. But, like, I think the days of science performance died off, like in the 50s or before. Like, you know, we have textbooks, we have internet, we've seen science on the videos. We don't need a guy coming to a gymnasium, putting propane in a balloon and popping it to make any kind of effective lesson, in my opinion. Maybe he should teach us how we can pop a balloon full of propane ourselves, or maybe, you know, how to do it safely, or maybe some of the people that should be, like, putting on these gymnasium-style talks at schools should be talking about some things a little bit more serious, like driving safely, like, yeah, the statistics of you dying on the road. Oh, y'all probably remember seeing that on the, like, in your high school gymnasium. They're like, we're going to show you some images, and if you're queasy and you don't like seeing things that are gnarly, you might want to step out. It's like, define gnarly. Like, what is queasy? Like, what are you talking about? You might want to go out in the hall for this one. Everybody needs 5 minutes to go out in the hall. This guy flipped his convertible over, and some of his head is over here, and the other part of it's way over there. It's like, that's the kind of shit that we should be learning. Neil Tyson, if you could teach that kind of material, I would 100% spin around on my decision that you're a piece of shit. I think you would be a whole lot better human if you taught stuff like that. Like, let's throw some proportions out here. If you were to wreck your convertible Mustang at 80 miles an hour, some of your brains would be over here, then walk to the other side of the gymnasium, and some of it would be over there. That is the kind of stuff that we want to learn. It's like, if you want a sense of reality, you're talking about human hair and the distance from the earth and the sun. Now let's talk about how far you could smear your brains in a convertible that flips upside down on the highway at 80 miles an hour. That's the kind of education that kids actually need. You want something that's going to be effective, that's effective. Yeah, I don't know. The guy says he's a physicist, but he hasn't even talked about that subject. There's so much he covered. Like, he's missing an entire subgenre of physics that is way, way more educational than trying to tell somebody about perspective on distance and pull out the calculator. I don't think you're going to be able to show brains smeared across the pavement on a calculator. That's the kind of thing that you need to be showing in a gymnasium, Mr. Neil Tyson, physicist. I guess I understand why he exists. There's an entire generation of humans that watched Bill Nye the Science Guy, and I think that inspired youngsters to grow up to be Neil Tyson. And I think Neil Tyson should have been Bill Nye, not Neil Tyson. Like, if he was just Black Bill Nye, winner, awesome. Like, and if you don't understand the difference, it's the production capability. All right, if you stand in front of a crowd of people with your hair all wigged out, telling people about science, trying to just tell somebody that's important, that doesn't land the same way as, like, a production geared towards entertaining children. You got fun colored lights that are all DMX controlled, smoke show stuff happening in the background for no apparent reason. Different gimmicks and things that happen, and his goal is to keep your attention while also instilling some knowledge in your brain. And if that's Neil Tyson's objective, I never ever got the inkling that that's what he's trying to do. Bill Nye nails it. Like, you can see, like, he's got a set. He's got, like, a place where he does his science. Well, where does Neil Tyson do it? In his head? Making stuff up while he's on an airplane onto his next conference where he's going to stand in front of a room full of people with his hair all whipped out? I don't know, man. I don't know. Look at the TV. Look at Doctor Who. Like, I think I've learned more science from Doctor Who than I have Neil Tyson. Like, toxic YouTubers is the topic. Toxic YouTubers. Yeah. I'm gonna change pace a little bit. We're coming up on this place called Yucca, Arizona. Not to be confused with Yucca Valley, California. This is Yucca, Arizona. Yucca, Arizona is home of the proving grounds. Proving grounds that are operated right now by a variety of different companies. I think it might have been Toyota Proving Grounds at some point, but right now there's Harley Davidson out there. I think the Navy, if not the Navy, it's some kind of military branch. I thought it was the Navy based on some of my recon. They do high altitude drone research out here. They do some crazy stuff. So there was an air base out here for a long time, and there's somewhere out here there's a giant mountain of cans, like, that you would eat food out of, and there's a story behind why that mountain of cans exists, but I'll spare you the details. Over here to the right, there's this truck on a pole. That used to be a big truck franchise, a franchise of semi-truck places where like truck stops, I guess, and service centers. That's been defunct. It's no longer a thing, but that truck is still on a pole. And there's actually quite a number of these around the U.S. If you look hard, you can find them. I know of 3 of them. That's one of them. So I've flown my drone around it and everything. It's kind of cool. Other things about Yucca. This town was established as a railroad waypoint where they provided services such as water, salt, and probably a place to use the restroom if I had to guess. What is it? Kind of making things up at this point, but the railroad, BNSF, I don't know if it's BNSF or if it's the other one, they operated a little waypoint in Yucca for a whole long time, up until, well, I want to say the 90s, 1997 or 6 or 5, probably around 1995. I think that's what it was. Yucca and all the area around here, huge swath of the desert. Like I said, I'm making up some of this. I think it was a huge number of acres. I don't even want to throw a number out there because I know it's going to be wrong. Huge number of acres. 500,000 acres. Not a million, but like less than a million acres. Huge number of acres. So that got incorporated into Mohave County. And I think it was around that time, maybe before then, Yucca became like a place, I guess. Some of the information I have to base off of this is when they cut some of the roads around here. I know it was around 96, 97 when they cut a whole bunch of these roads out in the desert with some bulldozers. And I've got property out on a few of these roads. And a few of these roads have not been traveled on since that bulldozer did its original work. And I can still see track marks and stuff. Definitely can still see cut marks in the dirt, in the rocks. Well, there was an army base out here for a long time, and it had a airstrip. And that airstrip ended up turning into what they now call the Proving Grounds. So the Proving Grounds, it's an actual racetrack, and folks go out there and do racing events. I don't know when, but I know it's a thing. I don't know actually anything about the racing events that might happen out here. I know Harley does their stuff. That's about it. There's a lake up in the mountains over there, and I see people hauling their boats over to that lake, but I've never actually seen the lake. And then I'm a little confused on what they call the Black Mountains out here. I think the Black Mountains are to the right, these ones that are lit up bright orange. And I think the mountains over to the left over here that are black, well, I mean, maybe those are the Black Mountains. I don't know. But those are the mountains that separate this part of the 40 from Bullhead City and Fort Mohave. So just on the other side of the hills to the left over there, that's Fort Mohave and Bullhead City. Can you go directly over there? I don't think you can. There's one path that you can for sure. It's called Oatman Highway. And it's probably about 20 miles up here. You would, well, there's a couple of different ways to get to it, but I guess you would take Crazy Fred's exit. I don't know what exit number that is, but it's Crazy Fred's exit. And you hook a left on Shinnerum, and then you drive on Route 66 Oatman Highway up through the mountains. It's a beautiful, beautiful path. So if you ever get a chance to go on this side of town, that Oatman Highway is worth it. I would say, out of all the places that I've visited, it's one of my favorites. One of my favorites. It doesn't have the kind of features that some of the other favorites that I have. Up northeastern Oregon, there's this place that I really like. It's called Cabbage Patch Hill. I really like it because when I was young, I could get a sense of the curvature of the planet. You can see that far out. And when the weather's good, it's so incredible. You can absolutely see the curvature of the planet from Cabbage Hill. Also, it's one of those hills that I always thought I'd like to bicycle down because, I don't know, it's like 20 miles of downhill, and some of it's kind of steep. And I figured if I had a time trial bike, which I used to at one point, it would be nice to go on Cabbage Patch Hill on the top and ride all the way down. And some things that kept me from doing it, first and foremost, getting somebody to give me a lift out there because I was probably not going to be able to do it myself. And I didn't want to have to bicycle all the way back up the hill either. That could be a problem. But the safety, that's a lot of danger. Like, you could be zooming down that hill for a long time. A whole long time. Probably like half an hour of straight down. And in those little bitty tires, the chances of hitting some gravel, you're probably going to hit some gravel. And I don't know if you know, but on a time trial bike tires, they're like 0.25 width or something. You hit a rock, you're going to get air. Like, you pack them with 130 pounds of air pressure, and the tire is so narrow. Yeah, incredible thing. And one time on a time trial, I was going probably about 50 miles an hour, and I popped a tire, and I completely annihilated a good portion of that bicycle because I popped a tire at that speed. So I don't want to die, like, let's say. So, like, there's a lot of hills around here. It's like, man, wouldn't it be great to bicycle? No. I learned my lesson. I don't need any more of those lessons. That was enough. So yeah. So I used to ride a lot. Maybe that's why my back always hurts. I don't know. But when I was a youngster, I rode from Salem to Portland a couple of different times, and I was riding from Salem to Lincoln City, and I had a near miss with a semi truck. There was like debris on the shoulder of the road. Like a truck behind me. Well, long story short, he was pulling a trailer, and I missed the thing on the road because I dipped between him and the trailer, not knowing the trailer was there until like a microsecond after I realized, hey, that's one of those extending trailers that go pretty far behind the truck. They're like made for logs and stuff. Well, I was in between the truck and that trailer, and he was going maybe 10 miles an hour faster than me, so I had probably about 3 seconds to do my maneuver successfully and get back in the shoulder before becoming a pavement patty. And trust me when I say, I did not become a pavement patty, but it was close. I wouldn't want to do that again. That was too much for me. What the hell's going on with the semi-truck? Look, you're going 65, it's a 75. You want to try to get a little faster here? Because I don't understand why we're not going 75. 68. Why is the FedEx only doing 65? Burning up the clock? Come on, guys. Goat rodeos are for Fridays. Let's get this show on the road. Alright. Well, you made 69 miles an hour before passing that truck there, buddy. State E-Log. Is that a company or is that a state E-Log? Is that... I'll have to GPT that later. I don't know what that is. A couple of interesting things about this area. There's a company over here that does... man, I don't remember what they're called. They're called... it's not Lindy or Airgas, but they do stuff with gas and chemicals, and it has like a 10-mile kill radius. If the thing explodes in a particular kind of way, the radius is about 10 miles, and it's an evacuation situation, and it's like a mile off the highway. Well, I own a piece of property within 10 miles of that one, and that's how I know about that. There's also a prison out there. Sheriff Joe Arpaio has prisons, desert camp prisons, and there's one of them's out here. It's a particularly harsh place. I've heard that there have been breakouts over there, and again, owning property out there, there ain't nothing on my property out there, so it's not like I have anything to worry about. But I certainly don't expect that there's going to be many developments out there anytime soon, because people probably don't want to have to insure a house next to a, Joe Pilo's desert camp. When I was growing up, I used to believe that it was just open desert, and you were welcome to just kind of wander if you wanted to, because it was a death sentence if you did. But that's not actually true. They got fences, and I know this because I've driven over there. They had a bunch of pallets on the back side of their property, but it was on the other side of the fence, so I was going to go scoop them up. Don't ask me how I know they were there. But essentially they said no. I went and asked because I figured if I just did it and I got caught, I'd get in trouble. It turns out I was absolutely right. They don't want folks back there, and those pallets were there for a reason. So there you go. Things you learn in the desert. Check out this train. So we got this lovely train. It doesn't go to Vegas. It goes to Phoenix area and then goes to California, but it does not go to Vegas. This track right here, this is kind of a famous track because of a levee that happened. I think it was in the 70s. There was a train, and it had a car on it, and the car levied. That's what I know. I don't know anything else. But look at this. They got 5 locomotives right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. BNSF. That's what I thought. Look at that. There's your BNSF. They literally used to own this place. There they are. I can feel the rumble in my cab, even though I'm driving. Crazy Fred's exit that you would take if you wanted to go hit Shinnerup and then Route 66 open highway. This is the path right here. Open highway. You also get to Golden Valley that way, but you can also get to a bunch of other places. The roads are kind of hard to navigate because they're all dirt. Some of them are washed out. But you can get to Golden Valley from here if you have to. Shinnerup to Aztec. That's what I would do. Those are all paved roads. Coming up on that construction, they're doing work on the 40 as part of the expansion, trying to get better highways up through Wickiup and Wickenburg, all the way up through Kingman. They're working on some very specific portions of it first. I think probably the expensive portions. So we're going to see some of that construction coming up. 65. Go get my Part 107 license. I keep forgetting to do getting dark. My camera sucks at nighttime. Here we are. Some pretty good rocks to look at. If you look at this rock face right over here, you can see some very impressive rock coloration. This is a fault line right here. It's mostly a stable fault line, but something to consider. Literally a fault line. Got a little canyon right there. Pretty cool. Canyon was definitely made by that fault. Here we are, pretty close to being on top of the mesa. This is Old Town Kingman. Here we go. It says 35, but it's really 25. There's a big old train to the right here. In there? Should be. Yeah, there it is coming up. Old Town has a real cute atmosphere about it, and I think it will eventually make a really nice nightlife, but right now it's in its infancy. There's not a whole lot of life to it. Real nice night, but oh, there's a cat. When I was growing up in Oregon, there's a couple of little places that are similar to this, little logging towns and whatnot. And they're little tourist traps. You'd be, traveling for hours and find a little shithole town, stop off, have a sandwich, and that's how they get you. You end up spending $100 before you leave. And sometimes you know about these towns, sometimes you have no idea. They just kind of pop up out of nowhere. I mean, Kingman's not a nowhere town, but you get what I'm saying. This little old town section right here, it's let me let this car by. Give me just a few moments. Alright, back to it. What is this? I can hear that train over there. So it seems like it made it up the hill. What the hell that guy said? That license plate said G Hood. Gangsta Hood. OG. J Cooper. BK6. Magic Cab. What the? Okay. There's that train. Am I gonna do it? No. I'm gonna wait just a little bit. Wait just a little bit. Am I gonna do it? No. I'm gonna wait just a little bit more. Let's see. 5, 4, 1 to the right, 3, 4, 3, 2, none to the right, 1. Come on, get out of here. Let's go. Let's do it. Step on it. It's 35 through here. There's that train. There's that little hole that goes underneath the train. That's pretty cool.